You know that thing where someone offers you something really good, like a job offer, and then some quiet part of you just deflates a little bit? And you can't really explain why you have this feeling, just because on paper it makes complete sense. It's something you always wanted. It's something you always prepared for. You got straight A's for, and your parents are very happy for you. Where you kind of think to yourself, I think this is good, but why do I just feel a little bit sad? That's the kind of conversation this is about. The prestige trap. Mistaking the path that's easy to explain for the path that's actually yours. Zap is an investor and ecosystem builder in Nashville, the founder of the Lighthouse, one of the first entrepreneurship communities in Nashville, where she helped founders raise over $15 million. She's turned out things that looked great on paper more times than I can count, and she'd tell you figuring out what you actually care about isn't one single moment of clarity. It's a long, slow, and often expensive job that most people keep postponing. Here's the conversation. Okay, let me find. So to start, I'm curious, like, how would you introduce yourself to someone that doesn't know you? Like, what you do and what you're interested in?
How would I introduce myself to someone who doesn't know me?
Yeah.
I would go, hey, I'm Zach. Who are you?
Okay, that's fair. Or like, how would you talk about what you do?
Okay, sure. Who is this person? I need context on them. I don't know anything about them at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you do? I would say that I invest in early stage tech startups, and I help them get customers, build their team, and connect with investors.
And so how did you get into what you do?
I really just picked it, to be honest. I got really into startups my senior year of college. I kind of interned for a startup, and I super got the bug, and I thought it was really fun. And then I went to go work for them full time after I graduated doing growth. And from then on out, I just really enjoyed 0 to 1 startups, and more specifically probably working with the founders themselves on challenges and opportunities. And then I worked at a nonprofit kind of startup accelerator. I worked at a tech boot camp. I worked at a venture fund. And then eventually I just was I'll just do this myself full time.
And so how was that decision like going from working for someone else to taking that leap?
Sure. For me, it was kind of, I guess, forced by the universe. So I took a job at this venture fund that I thought was going to be this dream job because it was more money than I ever made. It was a very prestigious title. And I was very sad when I hated the job. I hated it so much. So about a little after 6 months in, I actually went to the guys who hired me and I just told them hey, I don't think this is gonna work. And they asked me to stick around for a few more months, and I said yes. But then about a month in, they were all right, you're good, you can go now. Luckily they still owed me, I guess, another 6 weeks of salary, so they agreed they were still gonna pay that to me. But I had been looking for a job and was hoping to have a job right after that job ended because I had an end date. All of a sudden I had this new end date, and it was just okay, well, I'm unemployed now. You know what I mean? And then what happened next was, first I went on the solo trip to Europe, which is awesome. Highly recommend doing that as much as you can. And then I had a bunch of new job opportunities because people knew me around town, but I just was really, after my last experience being so negative, I was I really gotta find the right fit. I can't be bouncing around jobs as much as I already have in my career. And so I luckily picked up a contract role for just a couple $1,000 a month. And I knew that I could just cut my expenses and keep that going. And not have to, and kind of just live. And so I did that for a few months, and then I picked up more contract roles, and I actually quickly picked up enough work that I was making almost double than what I had ever earned previously in any of my jobs. And then I just eventually just decided, like, working for myself was just such a better fit. Like, I can't believe it took me so many years to figure it out, but I also think I needed those experiences to learn, like, I never really fit at a job. Like, working for myself really makes so much sense, and it just took me a few years to figure it out. And now I really can't imagine any future where I, like, have a job, I guess. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, so when you were working, like, freelance or for contract roles, like, how did that go about?
Yeah, honestly, I had a bunch of random, very niche things. I, at this point, had already been, like, I had a really good network because I had always been going to networking events. I was always meeting people. I also had at this point, like, a emerging brand on LinkedIn because I had been posting on LinkedIn. So people knew me, and they knew that I was, like, well-connected and, like, capable. And so I was being hired to do a bunch of random stuff. Like, I was being paid to host, networking events for a dev shop. I was being paid to help run investor matchmaking events during conferences. I was being paid to run a venture scout program for an investment fund. Like, it was kind of all over the place. And I will say, like, there was a period where it was just like, oh, wow, like, I can make so much more money working for myself because I'm so good at working. Where when I had a job, I just would, like, be so good at my job, but not very good at, like, negotiating to make more money. Because I just enjoyed working. So I would just, like, pick up tasks that I guess maybe weren't in my job description. So it was nice working for myself and being like, oh, I can take on, like, 4 to 5 projects at a time and, like, start, like, bringing in, like, $20K a month and just work 40 hours a week still. Like, that's awesome. But eventually, I actually even sacrificed a bunch of that because I realized that while I could just keep picking up these jobs to, like, make money, I started saying no to some of those money-making jobs and exclusively starting saying yes to things that fit, like, building my career and what I actually wanted. Because it still took me a few months. It probably took me 9 months of working for myself, just picking up jobs to be like, okay, what do I actually want? And what I actually wanted was just to build the Nashville startup ecosystem and help founders win. So I just started taking up jobs that only kind of helped progress that goal, whether or not it made me more, like, less money. I kind of was like, here's my goal in mind. So it's kind of interesting of, like, talking about career stuff and, like, making money. Like, my highest salary I ever had was $100K at my last job. Then I went working, like, for pretty much $3K a month for a couple months. Then all of a sudden I'm back doing contract work, making, like, $20K a month. And then or sometimes more than that. And then I'm, like, back down to making way less, probably back for a period of time making, like, $10K a month. So cutting it in half to focus on my goal, which then focusing on my goal brought me back up to, like, I don't know, like, $30K a month, I guess. And so from a monetary perspective, it was my career has quite had, like, a lot of shifts, I would say. But at a certain point, it really was never about the money. It was always about, like, what's the goal in mind. And sometimes that meant saying, like, no to making more money. And yes to being like, what do I actually want to be doing a year from now? And, like, or 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And does taking this job help me get there? Does that make sense?
I'm curious. So you mentioned that it took a while to figure out, like, the goal of, like, what you want your future career to look like. And how is that? How was that decision process like?
Yeah. So part of it was, I remember, so when I quit my job because I was really unhappy, I went to like therapy, I guess, to like talk about how I was lost. I felt like I was having like a quarter life crisis. And the best thing I think is that it was more like a life coach, but that life coach gave me the task that for 1 month I could not get a new job. I was not allowed to get a new job. I wasn't even allowed to think about it. I wasn't allowed to pursue it. It had to be off of my mind, and the only thing I was allowed to do is like whatever I wanted to do. And I committed to do that, and I was in a financial position where I was going to be okay. Like I said, I wasn't making money, but I wasn't going to burn through all my savings because I did have this little contract gig momentarily that kept me just afloat. And by the end of that month, that's when I kind of just kept picking up all these fun projects, I guess. That's when I knew, like, I was never going to get a job. So it really was just, like, being super intentional, number one, about, like, what do I actually like doing? And then it was realizing, like, oh, I like working with startups. I like working with founders. I like connecting them. I like helping them. Like, all of my projects are in that vein. And then it probably wasn't until another 6 months later that this was the hard part, was I actually was like, okay, what do I really want to be doing, and like what is my business? And that's when I decided like my business was like helping Nashville founders win, and I had to start saying no to opportunities and no to making money. And a lot of those opportunities, by the way, were good opportunities. So it was really hard. Like I definitely cried a lot for some of them because it was just hard to say no, if that makes sense. Especially if it was like, oh, look at the money, look at the prestige, this is a good opportunity, who am I to turn down this good opportunity that many other people would be grateful to have? But I had to say no to like let other doors open up, or let myself be able to go and like explore those other doors. So yeah, my summary is like, one, I was intentional about like giving myself the time and space to actually figure out what do I like, like what do I enjoy, and just do that. And then two, start being like, all right, I have to remove like money from like my decisions, and I have to just really kind of be like, does this align with like my mission? And if it didn't align, like I just couldn't do it. But eventually my point is being like, I sacrifice money temporarily, where I think if you really are aligned with like your mission and what you like to do, like you'll find ways to make money doing it.
So why Nashville?
I just like living here, honestly. Teacher, librarian. I tried New York City first, and I personally really despised New York. When I was in college, it was a really strong culture of like, if you want to be successful and if you're ambitious, you have to go to New York. When I went to New York, I personally felt too small. I felt like nobody cared that I was in New York. I felt like I was never going to do anything that anyone cared about, or at least for not so long. And so then I decided to go look at like emerging cities, and I just really liked Nashville the most. And truthfully, I came here just being like, all right, let me just try a year here, and then I can like springboard to another city. But then I really just fell in love with the city. I think I'm really in love with like Nashville is on such a cool upswing, and I'm in love with getting to be a part of that. Like I think a lot of people, like I guess I see myself building a legacy here, and I don't see myself as being able to build a legacy in other places. Like, you go to visit places and you hear about the people that have like made those places what they are. Nashville's cool because it's still becoming, and like I get to be one of those people that really is helping it become what it is. And I enjoy bringing that like purpose and value to like my community. It like is just way more rewarding than I think anything else that I could be doing.
On that, I'm really curious, what do you find the most rewarding about what you do?
I love so many things. I'm trying to think of the most rewarding. I mean, bringing people together is really awesome, and finding them and watching them like get things from the people I bring together. So like I've helped a lot of people find their co-founder. I've helped them find their mentor. I've helped them find their investor. And so like helping them find that person that like solves a problem but also is like a partner in whatever they're building is probably one of the most rewarding things that I get to do. Mm-hmm. I feel just rewarded knowing that like I think I help people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. So like everyone at the Lighthouse is building their own company, but together we're like building something bigger than just our own company. And like I think that's really fun and exciting.
What are some like moments where you feel like you really click with your work?
Can you explain a little more what you're looking for?
I guess like I'm starting from the place of like more feeling or like intuition side of when you just feel like it's right or
I think it took me a lot of time to learn what filled my cup versus what does not. I can tell you now that the only thing I really like to do is hang out and talk with my founders. Like if I am talking to someone who's truly like building something, like they give me so much energy. Things that deplete my energy is like, I don't know, going to networking events where like people are like weirdly passively one-upping each other. Some investors fill my cup, but a lot of investors are kind of draining because they're always like, they want something from you, I guess. I do like really working with students a lot because like students like they just see the world, they're not jaded yet, and I feel like that's kind of how I operate, and so I enjoy being around that energy. Like founders are like, you know, just there's a million reasons why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, but they still do it. And like a lot of students, I think, still can have that belief and hope in them as well. So spending time around those people is probably what I would say.
So what do you think people tend to get wrong when investing in founders?
Yeah, I think simply put, like, there's a lot of investors that, listen, I get it, they want to make money, but then they tend to attract and want to do the deals investing in founders who want to make money as well. And building a company is a hell of a lot harder than just making money, because it's a lot of not making money. I think that as an investor, I am looking to create something bigger than myself. Like I have a mission with my investments, and therefore I attract and invest in founders that also have a mission. They want to solve a problem. They have something bigger that they're trying to build, and it's bigger than just money. And I think that's what it takes to build a company, is having that. A lot of people don't think that, but that's what I think most people get wrong.
I'm really curious about your relationship with work and like your take on work-life balance, because that's like I feel like in the US work is such a center of so many things.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from China, which is the same thing, but
yeah. I'm probably someone that, like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I hang out with all people who love what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at this point, like, it's really hard for me to be friends with someone who doesn't love what they do. Because I love what I do. And, like, my work kind of is so interconnected with my life and, like, with my identity. I feel like it's just, like, work-life alignment I get to have a lot of. But it's because I, like, love what I do. I think if I had a job that I didn't want, I would want to, you know, clock in, clock out, and, like, not think about it and not worry about it and not hang out with people from it and not, like, identify with it. I think some people, that's what they prefer. I love living a life where it just, like, all comes together. Like, I have stuff outside of here, but a lot of my work, it's like, it is my community, it's my friends, like, it's my work, but it's also weirdly, like, my hobby. You know, I date my boyfriend who's with work. I one day think I'll have children, and I'd like to bring my children to my office every day.
Then I'm really curious, so we were talking about with the month that you had to not think about work at all, and, like,
well, I still did work all the time. So here's, like, a thing about me anyways, is, like, to be fair, I've, like, always loved working. So much of my work is not for the purpose of making money, which a lot of people don't understand. Like, I got into this career of, like, working with founders and building a founder community because I just started hosting founder happy hours and educational workshops, which was work. But that was work that made no money and was really just like a work hobby, I guess. I just like building things. I like creating things. I like bringing people together. And so it was more that, like, I couldn't pursue work in the traditional sense of, like, what is going to make me money? What job do I need to get? It's more like free flowing. And so I do a bunch of stuff. Like, you came to the hackathon. That hackathon, that was work, but that hackathon made me no money. I probably lost, like, a couple $100 on that hackathon. Like, I did that for fun. Like, I literally did that. It's like this weird, like, work, fun, like interconnectedness in my life. And I didn't have to do it. I just wanted to create something. And I would guess, like, next time I do it, I could find a way to, like, monetize it and make it make money. If I wanted to. But it's kind of up to me.
I'm really curious when you talk about the phenomenon that people are starting to get more jaded, or, like, founders or students in particular are less jaded, and like,
some of them are super jaded, but, you know, it's a mix.
And I'm curious, like, when you were working at New York, do you feel like there was that tension between getting the dream job and, like, seeing the reality of, like, a lot of how capitalism works?
I mean, this is my thoughts on students, and I'll speak of Vanderbilt students in particular. Like, it's, to me, extremely unfortunate the percentage of the student body who is incredibly gifted and smart and capable, and their dream is to go work in consulting or investment banking. Their dream is literally to not create value or solve interesting problems. Their dream is to be within this, like, money-making entity that really is, like, does not create new value for the world. That bums me out. But I really like talking with students who, like, to them, like, they don't know what they can or can't do yet because they haven't ever done anything. So some of them believe, like, they can do really, really, really crazy and big, hard things, and I think that they should pursue those. So yeah, it just bums me out that, like, people just think, like, oh, this, like, one... It's actually crazy, like, statistically, like, the amount of, like, the top 20 schools that they all just go work in consulting and investment banking. Like, why do we have our greatest minds just, I don't know, creating like enterprise value when we could have our greatest minds like solving problems meaningful to them? Like, it's a bummer, and I think it's a failure by like I don't know, top tier universities.
I think that's something that I'm trying to close my eyes and ears towards when I hear people wanting to go into these fields, because I feel like the energy is a little bit contagious. It's like a FOMO situation.
Yeah, I understand, because I lived it. Michigan was definitely a school like that. And I felt like I was behind, different, failing, because those career paths truthfully like just weren't available to me. Like, I tried and they were like, nah. Looking back, now I know it's because I was like a weirdo entrepreneur and was not going to be a good McKinsey rule follower. Honestly. But yeah, I do think like, listen, and it's cool it's fine if people do take those jobs, but I think they spend a lot of time and energy in their 4 years working toward that, like networking exclusively for that, building these resumes that mean nothing to them but are just supposed to look good to get those jobs, when I think college should really be spent like genuinely like trying things, like meeting new people, exploring. And when it all becomes like, when I see a resume that's just like, I went to college, I studied econ, I did an internship in investment banking and wealth management, and then I was in this business club on campus, and I put some other stuff on there, but I wasn't actually engaged in that. I just did some volunteering to put it on my resume. And, you know, a lot of people come to me because they want to put entrepreneurship somewhere on their resume because that looks good to get a job. And then they go get that job for 2 years. And then they're like, all right, what's the next job I get? And they get another job that's not really like creating value for their world, not really creating value for their community. I think that's what like bothers me. And it really sets people on this very narrow path of like doing their career so hard in their 20s. And it's funny because I'm like the workaholic of all. Like, I've been a workaholic all of college, since college, but all of my work has been like really revolved around like stuff I'm like interested in, and like building new things and like creating new value, and not like, how do I, you know, impress my manager so I can get a promotion at my job at McKinsey. I don't know.
What do you feel like?
I have a pretty like radical view on this though, which I'm aware of.
I think personally I also agree with that view. I feel like I don't know, I feel like a lot of people, or like my classmates, sort of enter it with the mindset that it's gonna give a great exit opportunity, and it's like a stamp of approval. So it's like, okay, I can delay my choice of choosing something right now, because if I do that, that's like safe, and then that'll like get, it's like, that's the
they kind of prolong like, but then what it ends up, which is interesting, I'm turning 30 this year. And so, you know, I went to college with people who did this. They've, from what I've seen, they now are 30 and they still don't really know what they want to do. They don't know, because they just kind of like did these jobs that never really exposed them to things that they were interested in. And then on the counter, it's kind of interesting to see all these other really interesting jobs my friends who pursued these unique paths have. And you're like, wow, there's so many jobs out there. Like, one of my girlfriends is about to go work at the International Monetary Fund, which is like essentially a bank for countries to lend money to countries. And like, she's from Tunisia, and so like this is a dream job of hers because she gets to like lend money to different countries, and go to those countries, and like, you know, she's an economist, and like, or I have another friend that's like, she's a food scientist. She's really into food, and she like literally like invents new nacho cheeses, and like she also does a ridiculous amount of travel going to like snack and like spice conventions, like sampling snacks and spices because she's really into food. Like, I'm trying to think. One of my other friends is like a data scientist for a crypto company and is making a crazy amount of money and living in the Dominican Republic, and like they catch essentially bad guys who hide the money that they made illegally through Bitcoin, and they like have created a way to go catch them and like reveal like, oh, this criminal has been hiding $5 billion on Bitcoin. And like there's just like so many jobs out there. Does that make sense? And then like the people who kind of did consulting, not to just talk, you know, not to speak poorly of them, but it's just like they end up in these like middle management positions where I don't feel like they've picked their skill or an industry or a passion. But it is prestigious, perhaps, you know, and it makes money. But I also think like a lot of it is driven to be very short-sighted, which is interesting. Like a lot of those jobs make you the most amount in your 20s, but not always the most amount in your 30s. And so I'm seeing my friends who kind of like picked their thing that they loved and they like specialized in it. Now, like, we're all making way more money than them because we have like a thing, if that makes sense. And it's like our thing that we're like experts in. And then when you never pick a thing, you just become like, and you can be a generalist, but like pick a generalist of what? You know what I mean? You still need something. And if you're just like a generalist that's lived inside of a generalist organization, like a consulting firm or an investment banking firm, like you're just too generalist to like do too many things. Does that make sense?
Okay, this is a question I really like to ask like most people I know. It's like, what do you think your strengths are, or like what other people tell you your strengths are? Because like I heard that that's like, or
well, let me say one more thing. I have a really good friend who he did go work at McKinsey for a year. So he went to Harvard, he worked at McKinsey, and the number one thing he learned, he says, is he's really good at whiteboarding. He's so good at running a whiteboarding session. So, but then he knew, like, I can't stay here. I need to go. And he left McKinsey to go make half as much money working at a venture fund, and which was still, like, again, like, he just delayed it by a year, you know, took the McKinsey job for $120K to then go take the VC job later for, like, $65K. And then, like, springboarded back up because now he has, like, this specialty and this network, and that's a whole other story. But, like, I think it's fine, but you just have to have, like, your plan. And you have to be willing to, like, I think it's just, if you graduate and maximize for your highest salary right away, it's very easy to get yourself into a golden handcuff situation where you never make that leap to do what you care about. And your 20s is the easiest time to, like, take that risk and, like, not worry about money. It's crazy. I just don't think any young people should be, like, optimizing for money. Like, I still don't optimize for money, and I make way more of it than, like, the average person. Because I think I just optimized for, like, something I cared about.
I was just in the session with Baxter Webb, the director, and I thought a point that he was making was really interesting of, like, the pathway is, like, very uncertain for college students, and right now optimizing for consulting or investment banking feels like something that is the best use of their time because it's like a guaranteed pay.
Totally.
And then so on the other hand, like the ecosystem that he's trying to create in Vanderbilt. It's like making the game more fair for startup founders.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm curious, like, your take on building ecosystem here. And
yeah, I mean, the best time to start a business is in college. It's the best
really,
time.
why is that?
Well, you have a lot of time on your hands, and people, you know, are happy to be customers of college students. You have nothing to lose. If you fail, who cares? You know, and like, this is the best time to try things. And so, yeah, I think that's just what I think.
I'm really curious about like the college founder phenomenon, because I feel like lately there's more college students trying to like apply for YC or go to San Francisco.
I have some hot takes on that too, which is that like, I think it's a mix. I meet some college founders that have really identified a problem that they're passionate and want to solve, which I love. And then I meet other college founders that are like, this, I'm going to shoot my shot at like, they want the being a founder now is this prestigious money-making path to them. And so it's like, you know, I've seen it both ways. I see in my mind, there's like the McKinsey founder as well. Because it's like, they just haven't lived enough life to like know what they care about, but they're like, well, I went to a top school and I write code. So like, I'm going to go try to raise like 3 million out of 20 million posts and get into YC and then like build whatever YC tells me to like build. That's fine too, but I think you still got to like figure out what you care about. Like at some point, like no matter what, like one day the time will come where the universe is, if you haven't figured out what you truly care about and what drives you and what your mission in life is, like it will take its toll one day. It might not be 22, it might not be 25, it might not be 30. I talk to people in their 50s that the day has come when they look back and it's just like, I never actually figured out what I care about and I hate my life. Seriously. The day will one day come. And so better to start thinking about it sooner as opposed to later. So I think even if you go build a company, and I mean, I think you can build a company just to learn, but I do see sometimes people building it for the wrong reasons of still this like prestige money-making standpoint. And like, that's not going to work either. You have to build a company because you're like, I want to learn what I care about.
So what, like, out of the people you know, like, who do you feel like you're inspired by, or like what type of, I don't know how to frame this question, but just recently I've been thinking a lot about like who I want to surround myself with, and like how we want to choose the people, because like it's like very easy to be impacted by what other people around us are optimizing for. So I'm curious, like,
totally. I 1000% believe you become the people that you are around. I very distinctly, I surround myself with people who know what they care about, who take extreme control and ownership over their life, which usually ends up making them very happy people, I would say, and then are very curious and interested in learning and trying and sometimes failing as well. So like those are kind of the big three for me. And when I look at my friends, like that's kind of the qualities I like in my founders and my friends.
I'm curious on the point of extreme ownership, because lately I've came across like this new trend or like word of like agency and like taking agency of one's life. And personally, or from my experience, I feel like it kind of has a diminishing marginal utility, if you will, where it's like there is a point of where the growth mindset is helpful, but then to a point if it's like I believe I can do anything right now. Like, it could get harmful at some point.
Yeah, there's not, you can't have everything right now. Most things worth it in life are a very, very, very long game. A very long, painful, patient game. There is no overnight success. Can you give me an example, though? Like, what do you mean?
So, I guess, like, one example is founders, student founders, or like wanting to learn a skill, because I feel like it's kind of like an interesting age of AI, it's like you can learn everything really quickly, but then I realized some soft skills like event planning, or I don't know how to phrase it, or like marketing, like it takes more than just I can brute force and learn this right now.
Yeah, everything takes time. I definitely believe in 10,000 hours. I'm still getting my 10,000 hours in my own career. I don't believe there is any overnight success. I think anyone that you see who had an overnight success, it's totally a house of cards, or there's something behind the story that you don't know about. And the most successful people really built things brick by brick, piece by piece, slowly over time. And that's just what it takes. And we're seeing stuff, I guess, move faster with like AI, but still, it takes the time that it takes. But yeah, I think the agency is just like, yeah, I think you don't want this extremist of like, I don't know, maybe an early stage founder with an idea being like, I'm just going to go raise $5 million today. Like, I want an attitude of like, I am capable of getting customers. I am capable of finding a teammate. I am capable of selling to investors. But because I am building something real and valuable and worth it. There is this whole fake world. Like, it really is mind-blowing. And I am kind of convinced it's becoming more prevalent, especially with student founders. They kind of are seeing, I think Y Combinator has created a culture of like posting on the internet and like building in public, which I really like. But then you see a lot of narratives that I think are not always true, and then those students think it's true, and then they try to like mimic and recreate them in their own way. And it's been interesting to watch over the past couple of years. I've noticed a shift. Like, any kid can just like, you know, put on LinkedIn that they're a founder and make a deck and, you know, take photos with famous investors or people, or make hype videos about how, you know, they did X and Y, but it has to be real. Otherwise, you can fake it till you make it, but you can't pretend something is real if it's not real.
And now with like deep fakes, there's so many people just like using that as like, what's that called? Like photoshopping themselves with like famous people.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of hype. It's like, how can I create hype around myself? But like, you need something real within the hype. But a lot of people are using the internet to create hype, and they're good at it, but they're not good at like building the real part. So that's like a disconnect.
I feel like from seeing that, it feels a bit discouraging, and I'm curious, like, what would you tell like college students who want to build real things when they feel like a lot of things around them are just like hype and like personal branding?
Oh yeah, a lot of it is hype and personal branding. Dude, honestly, there's so much to learn and so much opportunity in like boring real places. So much. Like, places everyone keeps looking. I work in tech. I'm like, oh, it's so hard to work in tech because there's so much fake stuff and there's so much personal branding, but like, there's so much opportunity in like home services and construction and manufacturing and mining or building data centers or the logistics moving all of our stuff all around the world, all around the country, like trucks and boats and shipping and supply chain. Like there is this whole world of, it's just like very real and very tangible, and it's not like this like tech hype bubble. So I would go look at those places, and there's so much opportunity in those places for young smart people, because they're drawn to like the sex appeal of these other industries, even though like you'd be shocked at like how most of the money is in all those things I just described. By the way, an AI isn't really gonna like it can't change them all. You know what I mean? They're gonna be changed, but they can't go away. Like we still gotta move our products from China. We still gotta make the products. You know, we still have to feed people. Like we still have to go look in those industries. Would be my advice. Like go do tech for those industries. Doing like tech for tech, that's where you get like into these very like fake worlds.
I guess like because the competition is more, I don't know how to describe it, but like building towards the image, because it's like a lot of, I don't know, it's like not deep.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Yeah, definitely.
And then as a wrap-up question, I'm curious, what advice would you give to your younger self when you're like still trying to figure everything out?
It's all gonna be okay. It'll all be okay. I was always just very anxious about like how I still am. Like I still have that problem of like, what's gonna happen? Is it gonna work out? Am I gonna make enough money? Am I gonna figure out my career? Blah blah blah. And like, if you just like work hard and like do the right thing, I think you'll be fine.
Thank you so much
for thank you
agreeing to the podcast.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I learned so much.
Good, yeah, I'm happy to. Thanks for asking me.
After talking to Zap, it gave me a lot of thought on how I thought about the messiness of my journey, and it really gave me a lot of permission to be in the messy part without treating it as a problem to be solved. Because initially I kind of thought the messy part of figuring out what I want is kind of like something that I need to sweep up with a broom, but I guess I realized that's really just the beautiful part of life if I want to frame it that way, and Zap helped me see that.